Yo, I'm not necessarily gonna lie. Back in the olden days of my youth, I ain't gonna necessarily hold you. Dead or Alive 4 was the first Dead or Alive game I actually played. And when it comes down to things, I didn't really expect what the game was. I didn't really know what I was playing. But it was probably one of the best fighting games I ever honestly played. Like, I'm not even gonna joke or lie when I say it. It had elements in it that I didn't think was gonna be in it, like the jiggles and all that stuff, and definitely the sexy ass women. Definitely wasn't expecting that, and that increased my horniness tenfold. But when it comes down to things, it was a good game. I honestly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the combat in it, and if it wasn't for it, I probably wouldn't be even more in depth and wanting to know more about fighting games like I do. Then Dead or Alive 5 came out. Really was excited, and it did a lot of cool things, honestly, that I enjoyed. And to be perfectly honest, all it did was just level up on what Dead or Alive 4 was. Honestly, it was really damn good. Granted, I don't own completely Dead or Alive 5, even though I probably should. But still, nonetheless, I still enjoyed it for what it was, and it was a hella good just game. It was honestly what I was expecting from Dead or Alive, and looking at the history of it, I enjoy everything that the damn game honestly brought up, honestly. One of my favorite characters, which we talked about in a fighting game Rate the Waifu before, was Alpha 152. I enjoyed the shits out of Alpha 152. She was creepy, she was sexy, she was literally everything I didn't think was possible in a game. And so of course I was going to give more of a damn about Dead or Alive as time goes on. And yeah, that was basically how it was, honestly. Dead or Alive is still one of my favorite fighting games of all time. 100%. The characters are just aplenty. They're just you just pick your favorite waifu, honestly, in the game. You want Kasumi? Sure, fine. You want the sweet, powerful, and sexy ass Ayane? 100%. That is mine. You want the whole 18-year-old lolly character? You got Marie Rose. There's a literal character for everybody to enjoy. There is literally a character for everybody to enjoy. But the big fat elephant in the room that ruined everything was Dead or Alive 6. Not just on the fact that they, toned down the game, try to be more serious, try to make it in the eyes of, more people of a casual audience, cater to those people and try to, make the game more toned down, less sexy, and, do what they wanted to do with it. But they also really did a shitty hand at cosmetics. Like, when I was watching, like, I think Matt McMuscles, I think, their video talking about how Dead or Alive was dead on arrival. That whole customization thing about how they had to spend so much money on it, get a ticket to spend something on it, and all this type of nonsense, that was just some nonsense. It was literally some nonsense. Some nonsense I don't ever want to see in a fighting game, or really in any game, But it is what it is. That's what they did. That's what ended up happening, on top of the, censorship that they tried to slide into and start doing with it. It wasn't a good time for Dead or Alive 6. It wasn't a good time, and it completely ruined what Dead or Alive was. And so, we thought Dead or Alive was going to be dead for a good chunk of time. It might not ever really come back. Thankfully, like 3 months ago, I think they had announced that they were going to try their hand at it again. But this time, a reboot of the series. That's what Team Ninja is planning to do with, I think, Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive as a whole. So the biggest question is, what are we going to do now? Here's the biggest thing, and here's the thing I really want to address. We don't know when we're going to get any information about Dead or Alive, honestly. We don't. Because I think this year, they already have, like, a game that already came out. And then, like, next year, they already have some game coming out for that. So, really, I don't think we're going to even see anything for Dead or Alive this year. Much less even next year. If we do see something next year, I'll be surprised. Really, in a time frame wise, I don't necessarily know when we'll see Dead or Alive again. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see something in 2025. I really wouldn't. I would expect that we see something there, or at least hope that we see something there. It's not like they gave up on the franchise, shockingly, because one bad game can sometimes be the whole thing that will just end the entire series. One bad game is all it takes. But they're gonna try to reboot it, try to make it come back, and try to make it work right. And hopefully they do it right this time. So, you know, we'll have to see. But time frame wise, we don't necessarily know. And you got to keep in mind too that Team Ninja is like, it's a decent sized dev company, right? It's a decent sized dev studio. It's not the biggest, but it's a decent size, right? So again, we might not necessarily see anything Dead or Alive for a little minute, you know. So when it comes down to things, what do we need to have Dead or Alive 7 or Dead or Alive Reboot number 1 happen in the future? Well, the obvious thing is don't censor the damn game. This is the biggest one for me. I'm not necessarily going to lie. Yes, I know there's obvious issues, but this is one of the biggest ones for me. Don't censor the damn game. Like, yes, they had their outfits already in the game, but through customization and, you know, through other options. But that should be like their default though. Like, I'm not necessarily gonna lie. Or at least if it was not gonna be their default, they should have had a better costume to keep what Dead or Alive was. Because I'm not necessarily gonna hold you. Removing any aspect of like lootness from Dead or Alive is stupid. It has literally been a thing since 2001, and even behind that, even like way behind 2001. And just, it's been a thing for Dead or Alive 1, Dead or Alive 2, Dead or Alive 3, 4, 5. Like, it's literally been a thing for every single game. 6, well, and here's the thing for 6, right? 6, it didn't like take it completely away, but it wasn't trying to, you know, put that front and foremost either, right? Even though pretty much all the other Dead or Alives outside of maybe 5 was really like, you know, not scared to show off any female bodies or anything of the sort. I know nowadays more people are sensitive than ever, and Twitter is a horrible landscape where you should not listen to, but at the very same time, that you should not be trying to change what Dead or Alive is. It's like in Mortal Kombat said, no more dismemberment, no more blood, let's just keep it family friendly and make another Mortal Kombat versus DC situation. Do we want another Marvel? I keep saying Marvel. Do we want to keep having another MK versus DC situation? No. At first I thought MK versus DC was cool, but I was a stupid child. Now I see it, and it's effing horrible. And we ain't got no time for that. And thank goodness we ain't doing that anytime soon. So when it comes down to things, we're going to have to get something going to show that, you know, Dead or Alive, it is a fighting game, first and foremost. However, it is a sexy fighting game with male characters and female characters. And that's just how it is. You want to see some jiggling tits? We got jiggling tits. Want to see some rock hard abs of the characters? We got rock hard abs. Have it for both variety. Like, it's not that hard. Like, removing the horniness and stuff from Dead or Alive is like removing the soul from a body. It doesn't make sense. It's like, why would you go that far, honestly? And let's just pray and hope that Sony don't pull no nonsense because they're a Japanese studio and stuff. They have been making games for years, Sony. You know they have. Let them do what they want to do. You let all these other games have sex in your games, basically have movies and shit and, you know, all this type of nonsense. Let Dead or Alive, when they come back, do what they want to do. Do not try to hinder them. I will be freaking pissed, and I will be the first one you're going to have to answer to. 100%. So keep the horniness stuff in. Ayane's tits better be jiggly. Alpha 152's better be jiggly. And everybody else better be damn jiggly. That's all I need to know. Anyway, when it comes down to things, let's talk about the combat. The combat, personally, is okay. However, I would like to add one major thing that I think would increase the hell out of Dead or Alive just as a whole. Put supers in the game. Now, I mean like actual supers. You know, kind of like how we have like level 1 supers and your level 3 supers in different fighting games and stuff like that. Give everybody their own unique super move and just have it to be that. Like, it's not that hard. Honestly, because like Dead or Alive honestly give me Virtual Fighter vibes. Like, where there's no type of, you know, special moves. It's just raw traditional fighting. And that's cool, but at the same time, People like spectacle. People like to see crazy ass things, right? People like to see moves that actually show some impact. It's like, damn, that's a good ass moment. We want to see that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like to see that. No like crushing blow type of things. We want to see just absolutely cinematic moves. You don't have to go like completely bonkers with it, but bonkers enough to make it look cool and, you know, to do what it needs to do and then get right back into the fight, honestly. You don't need to make it anything super crazy. Hell, you can go the Tekken 7 route. You can go the Tekken, 8 route with the rage arts and how that kind of is and stuff like that. There's other games that you can mimic and copy that has, like, the finishing moves of a character and how it's done, They have to, I think they literally need to change how the game is played and how it's done, because, if they continue on with the path of just making another DOA game with literally no system in mind, it's going to be kind of trash. It's going to be kind of trash, 100%. Especially with how, we got Street Fighter with all their characters basically being shown off and been having the whole roster in 6 now, and we got to see all the new systems, all the new moves. People have played the game before. I haven't played the game, I'm still mad about it, but still, people have played the game before. And that's perfectly fine now. And you also have like Tekken now coming through and showing off whatever nonsense they got. And it's really looking good, honestly. Kazuya's whole finishing move is ridiculously cool. But Tekken and Street Fighter are doing their own thing, and they're making their game fun, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be wonderful. 100%. Mortal Kombat 12 leak pretty much got announced, honestly, even though we were all expecting it. And most likely that game is going to sell well. Most likely that game is going to be pretty decent. We just hoping that the combat's going to be good and different this time around, So when it comes down to things, we can't necessarily do the same stuff that's been working, just only do that type of stuff. Like, you can still use it, but you gotta, make the combat different this time around. Should there be like a drive gauge, like how Street Fighter is? Or should there be like something that makes the game feel more aggressive? Or should you be rewarded if you do certain motions and moves in the game? Or how should the game be going with this reboot, So when it comes down to things, that's like a big thing that I feel like DOA should focus on in the future when it comes to how they, conduct themselves with this new title whenever this will be announced or come out or whatever, if it's even being worked on at all right now. So that's like a big thing I feel like people should honestly focus on if they do decide to, do something different with the combat. You can have, like, again, all the other stuff that DOA usually do, that's perfectly fine. You have, like, maybe some dress breaks and stuff, like some clothing armor breaks and stuff. You can have your, stage transitions, which should be, honestly, a thing that just stays in the game. Just make them ridiculous as hell, the stage transitions, and make them just bonkers as hell, Like, 5 had good stage transitions, 4 had good stage transitions. A lot of the games had good stage transitions. So there's no real deal reason to not have it. But, definitely, again, keep them in the game. But definitely the combat in its way needs to change up in a way than any other DOA game it ever has been. Something that is like, yeah, it feels like DOA, but it's not necessarily exactly the same as every other one, and have a finisher to each character. That's like a big way you can like change up how DOA is going to be and how many people are going to be interested maybe in trying out that game, so that's how it kind of is. One other thing too is the story of DOA is kind of boring. I'm not necessarily gonna lie. The reboot idea of DOA is a perfect idea. This is the only time I'm like, yeah, DOA is kind of okay with a reboot, because what even is the story of DOA? What, like, someone stole somebody's tech, that's basically it. There really isn't a solid reason why, DOA is like doing what it's doing and, just having its story the way it is. Like, the characters is cool, and a lot of those characters should survive the reboot, honestly, and come back, like Ayane, Kasumi, and like the main characters and stuff like that. Hanukkah and Marie and, Alpha 152 if she can survive. But definitely when it comes down to things, there definitely needs to be a clear story, and definitely need to be a story that, is something that I'm going to care about, or a lot of people will care about, because you're just having a tournament just to collect what fighters data. That's basically it. That's like the most generic ass story like that ever has been done. At least that's what I think the story is. I don't necessarily know. I don't see the damn movie to know what kind of story it has. But still, nonetheless, the story definitely needs to be changed up in a way to make things properly good and make people even care. Even if people don't care for the loot stuff and just care for the raw gameplay, they care for story, that might be a thing to sell them on. So, if you've never done anything DOA wise when it comes to the story, when it comes to like making it good and stuff, that's definitely something that should be focused on the reboot too. Especially like that's like one of the big things too. Another thing that needs to be fixed up for the next DOA game, I would say, is the customization. Don't be charging people ridiculous amounts of money over some customization. You can have your costumes, you can have them in DLC. Don't overly do them though, because it's really stupid a lot of the time. There's a limit on how many costumes you should make, honestly. Like, don't get me wrong. Would I like to see, a few of them in a naked apron? Absolutely. That would be class. But do I need to see straight up 1,000 million costumes for every single character? No, I don't necessarily need them. Just get rid of a lot of the costume DLC cosmetics and, all that type of stuff, and just have it in game. You can, like I said, I'm not saying get rid of customizing your character. I'm not saying get rid of that, but just don't be just focusing on that a lot of the time, and don't be so cheap with it. Honestly, like paying for a hat or changing a color for money. Don't ever do that again, because that was like the problem in DOA 6, and that what killed that game. So when it comes down to things, just if you're gonna do cosmetics and you're gonna do costumes and changes and things of that nature, don't do things like that, because that's what killed DOA 6. Stop. Don't be looking for money constantly. If you really want to focus in on like money, and like if you want to, I would say, maximize your money, honestly, I would say mainly just bring a season pass of characters. Just do that, like characters that may have never been in DOA, just straight up guest characters, if you can afford to do that. Y'all did that with King of Fighters. Why not go the extra mile and find some other characters from different shows or games and stuff that has never been in like, DOA before? Maybe like a Street Fighter character if you can, or like a Rival Schools character if you can, or some other type of character, a Tekken character if you want to. Xiao Yu could make a perfect fit in that world. There's definitely different routes and avenues that would help, not just cosmetics. People really care more about characters and the spectacle of that, honestly. So if you want to honestly maximize more of your money and get people to really pay attention to your game, definitely do something like that. You can, again, have your costumes, have your extra costumes in DLC, just don't go stupidly overboard with it, because that was the problem the first time. So don't do that. And the last thing I really have to say that is on my mind to really say about all of this is just have fun with the game. Have fun with making the game, and just make it something unique that people will remember for being good. That's basically it. Don't let it take itself too seriously. That's like a big thing I feel like a lot of people really did not care for when it comes to DOA 6. It's just that they took themselves way too seriously, tried to be something that DOA isn't, and then screwed it up in the worst possible way. You can change DOA, but you shouldn't change it like to the point where it should be less lewd, more serious, more trying to be like for the casual audience. Like, I get that you want to get more people to come through and play DOA, obviously, and have it to be like a bestseller game and stuff, and just sit up the top right there with like other fighting games or whatever. Perfectly understandable. I honestly get it, but at the same time, you shouldn't try to take it too seriously, because again, that's what got DOA 6 killed literally before anything good could ever really come out of it. That's what made the creator of the damn game to go run off and, disappear into the sunset. That's literally what killed it. So just don't take it as seriously as you were planning to do. This reboot, yes, could mean two things. They're either going to take it very seriously, Team Ninja's either going to take this game very seriously and just focus on the combat and not really have the sex ability characters anymore and, destroy everything that was Dead or Alive. Or they could just be kind of playful and not have it like it, being a serious game. And just have it as like hot chicks fighting each other and it looks really cool, So I'm not saying that they need to be 100% focused on the horniness section of it or focusing on the fun aspect of it, but make it like a perfect balance of what the horniness is, the combat is, and just the overall feel of the game. Like, make everything a balance. You've done that before with 4 and 5. You've done that before. So there's no reason why you can't just, do it in 7 or in the reboot, honestly. So overall, just have fun with the game and don't make it so intense of a game like, oh, it has to be a whole bunch of guys and conservativeness. That's what got the game killed. That's exactly what got the game killed. No reason for that. And if I can make a mini suggestion to Team Ninja too, if it is possible, and I don't necessarily know this was even involved in any of the actual fighting games DOA, but it would be kind of nice if we had a mini game mode in DOA. Maybe like took some of the stuff from the beach games and maybe have like a mini game where like in a mode menu where you do like, I don't know, the volleyball thing, or you could do like a racing thing, or like the whole bumping off one character off the dang, floating platform in the pool type of game, or something of the sort. You should definitely have mini games. Like the next DOA game should have mini games. Mini games to have fun, be horny, and have like that moment where you're just taking it easy, not necessarily fighting the character and all that type of stuff. That could be a single player thing if you want it to be. You don't have to try so hard. So just have something like that, and then obviously there should be a Photoshop mode or like a photo mode in general where you could just take pictures and stuff. That should be also a thing too. Have it like you did in the extreme DOA games before. So there's no real reason for you to not do it. So again, that's just me. And outside of everything else, like the online should be good, everything else should be good, functionality should be good. Rollback netcode obviously should be a thing in the game. So yeah. Or actually just rollback netcode. But yeah, that's basically everything that I would, I guess, say that needs to be done in order to have a solid Dead or Alive 7 or reboot, honestly. Oh, and you probably should add crossplay, I guess. But other than that, that's basically all I really got to say, honestly. To make DOA come back and actually sell and actually do well, I would say, you definitely need to step up the bar. Change up what the game is combat-wise. Keep what DOA used to be and just have that go into the future. Don't try to take it too seriously because it will ruin the game and what it is. Don't do AAA, tripling, double shits customization nonsense because that's not it. And, again, just don't censorship. If you can just do like all the things I said and just listen in the entire video, I feel like we'll have a solid ass DOA game. I really do. It can still be the 3D fighting game, honestly. It can still be a fun fighting game too, It can still have the whole fun moments and the lewd moments and, the crazy things going on. Definitely. There should be an arcade and tag team mode. I would also add that as well. But overall, when it comes down to things, just this DOA game, whatever it is and whenever it's going to come out, should be fun. It should be fun. It should be what DOA is. And it should carry the legacy of what DOA has been for, honestly, all these years. Not trying to be something different and try to cater to an audience who will never really take it and accept it in the way it should be, So that just me basically. But that's basically everything I wanted to say. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Patreon's available as well as the merch. Buy that, please. And until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.